morning and welcome to a very special edition of Council Matters, and I'm going to be joined in the studio by a couple of veteran commentators at the looking at the political scene. Very shortly we're hoping to be joined by well-known community activist out there on the north side, Dick O'Leary, but in the meantime we are delighted to say we are joined by a very respected man out there in North Dublin, Tom Brennan. So Tom, welcome to East Wall, welcome to Dublin City FM.
Thank you very much. This is my first time, my first time, and I'm delighted to be here. Yeah.
Tom, can I ask you, you're somebody who I thought was hard done by the political establishment. You came sixth out there in Donaghmede. Then when a councillor resigned, they didn't give it to the next one. So do you think the system is very much loaded in favour of the parties?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I felt very, and so did all my supporters and those in Donaghmede and surrounding area, that we expected it went to the 9th count, and we expected that we were would get elected. As it happened, the seat went to another party member, but anyway, the a bit of an argument took place after that, and it was believed that I should have been elected, you know,
based on the people's choice.
Based on the people's choice, but unfortunately, which you discovered then afterwards, that the parties have the monopoly there. They when we contacted the county sheriff, the county sheriff replied that no, this is the seat must go to the political party, which I found terrible.
Is that written into law, or is it just a gentleman's agreement made by Bowsies?
I don't know. I never found that out, but I think it's just a general agreement with the parties that this would happen. Now, I mean, if you finished well up, you're next to be elected. You should be elected. So, but unfortunately, they have the monopoly, and that's the way it happens. And which makes it very difficult for independents, you know, because they can shut the independents out if they so wish.
Well, having a look around at the moment, Tom, I mean, I'm sure it's the same where you are, but out on the Clontarf Road where I am, it's got to the level of offence, you know. There are so many posters there that, you know, you talk about independence. An independent is almost impossible to compete on that, unless of course you're Finian McGrath. But they seem to. There's so many.
I mean,
well, do you remember in that particular seat? It happened within parties as well, because if I recall correctly, Killian Ford had a bit of a tiff with Sinn Féin. He hopped over to Labour, and Sinn Féin said, "No, you can't do that because it's a Sinn Féin seat." They possibly had a point, but the reality is that when Killian later on left Labour, the seat went to Sinn Féin. So,
well, this is the way the political system works. There's very little you can do about it except challenge it, perhaps in the courts. Maybe that's a way of doing it. But and for independence, standing as an independent, you've got little chance with that type of monopoly by the political party. I mean, I noticed that yesterday, because going around the area, you seem to be driving up a driveway with posters on either side. And there's also, you know, it's irresponsible, and I mean, this is obviously allowed by the city council, but I mean, what happens when you're driving along like that, you tend to watch the posters and see who's, you know, who has more posters than the other, and so it causes quite a distraction and could very well cause accidents.
It's a very interesting one, that one, Tom. A couple of points you raise. I mean, I'm so far the most I've seen on one poll is 5. Now that's I mean, you look at that and you think that's like a totem pole, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's
exactly what it's like.
And that's on the Malahide Road, just where Donaghmede meets the Malahide Road. Now, people run the lights.
I think I actually counted. Well, I shouldn't say that when I'm driving, but that's the point. 6 on a.
I'd love to see that one. Yeah. 6 is a.
You check along the Clontarf Road there, you'll see 6.
Yeah.
It's chaotic.
The level of disinformation is a shocker altogether.
Yes.
The bit I'm a bit up in arms about is that all these candidates who not very long ago they're pledging their undying love for the Bay. The Bay was just the best thing, and their visual amenities were going to be ruined.
Absolutely.
And I thought, really, isn't a photograph? No Bay is, not improved with a photograph of Aon O'Riordan or Finian McGrath and all I could say, I'm not going to go pick on one candidate over another. They're all pretty much as bad, except for the only one I haven't seen down there is Micheál McDonagh and Paul Clark. So,
right.
But everybody else is.
But I mean, when you're driving along there this morning, everybody is asking the question, what's actually happening to the front of the Clontarf Road and the Bay? Yeah. Is it a cycleway? Yeah. Is it an extension? Are they putting in another roadway? Yeah. And nobody knows. And I'm coming along this morning to the station here, and there's nobody working.
Yeah, the level of disinformation.
But there's nobody working. So, so what's going on there? Yeah. So there's a complete traffic hold-up. Nobody around to give any information.
We're now delighted to be joined in the studio by our very good friend and long-standing colleague.
Nice to meet you.
The immortal Dick O'Leary. Dick, sit down there, get yourself comfortable, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Micheál.
Isn't this a nostalgic setting, isn't it? All the lads together.
It's crazy and lovely.
Dick, I introduced you in your absence as a community activist.
That's correct,
you're happy to correct that if you like?
Yes, I'm very, very happy to do that. So first of all, thank you, Michael, very, very much for being here.
Yeah. No, you've always been a loyal
I'm sorry
supporter.
for being a bit late. But what is my big thing here is this forthcoming election. I can't believe now. I'm not acting the fool here. I can't believe that Labour is even fielding any candidates in this election. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because they have done nothing but they've wrecked the structure of the poor in Dublin.
The polls suggest that they could be the new Lib Dems, in other words.
I don't accept
kick up the bottom.
I heard that on my radio this morning, but I don't accept it at all. Think of what's going on in the Labour Party. The members have fallen out in a hemorrhaged way. Now you see, coming up to the election, there's 3 senior politicians, ministers, former ministers, after falling out with them too. They're gone.
Okay, let's step back for a second, Dick. Do you think anybody, and I'll put this to you as well, Tom, do you think any party will have enough to rule on their own, or do you think we're looking at some really messy coalitions here, or even a minority government?
No, well, my assessment is that no, they won't be able to form a government. Clearly, I think probably 56, 29 seats, perhaps. That'll be for the parties for the government. For the government, yeah, and I think they're going to depend on probably 8 to 10 independents to form a government, and that's just a quick assessment.
Well, with 60 they'd need a bit more.
So we'll have to wait and see.
Dick, you're a man who has some long associations with Fianna Fáil. Do you think we could be seeing the end of that Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael antagonism? Could they be playing footsie? Do you think they could get into bed together and whisper sweet nothings for 2 years?
Oh, well, I tell you the truth, Fine Gael, I don't think that Fianna Fáil would ever come into power with them, because they'd have to tidy up their act. It wouldn't be Joan Burton that they'd be dealing with when they're dealing with the Fianna Fáil people. Yeah. I want to put this on record, Michael, that I never ever saw the unemployment so bad. And don't be fooled. Don't be fooled about there's so many people off the live register, because I'm living in a very, very working class area. Proud I am to say that. And I tell you that the crowd that's coming off the register is this. They're CE workers, and they're getting
20 euros a week.
20, is it?
Yeah, 20
euro a week extra, and by that happening, they come off the live register. Yeah. Now,
correct, yeah.
I've been speaking to those people. I represent those people, and I want to tell you, the Labour Party are the people that's responsible for this. I know you can say both parties are, but if the Labour Party hadn't backed them up with our horrible bills, giving out extra money, €3 a week extra, who do they think that they are? Who does Joan Burton think that she is? Or who does anybody in the Labour Party? I'm not going to blame Joan Burton particularly. Every single one of them. You have all sorts of professional people in the Labour Party, and they just yeah, give them €3. Do you see that they don't forget them? They're dealing now with educated people, people that have big families, and they can't.
Let's put it to you, Tom. 5 years ago, when we had the last election, I think we probably all were up at the Civic Centre and heard them all saying that employment was the big issue. Now, I was not on a CE, but close enough to it. That was 5 years ago. I'm far more focused now on pensions because I retire next year. I mean, who do you think, both of you guys are probably in the pension class, who do you think of the parties would be the best to look after pensions? This is a real issue for me.
Well, I don't think either of them are capable. I don't think either.
Well, there's four parties now, technically.
Yes, and I'm not sure about Fianna Fáil. It's very difficult because, look, I have all the literature here in front of me, which has come in the door, and as I see in the literature, everybody's speaking the same. You know what I mean? So I don't see, unless there are a couple of independents in the government, I mean this sincerely, to have a Tony Gregory-like situation, I think it'll be the same. They roll out the same. Now, Dick was saying there about the parties and forming a government. Look, at the end of the day, after the election, and they're all good at this, we've been through it over the years, several general elections. At the end of the day, if it suits to form a government, of course the usual is, look, we go back to our party members. But when they go back to the party members and hold a conference, of course the party members are going to say, listen, we're better off in government than out of it. So they'll jump into bed.
Okay, well, we say, I'm working on the basis, and I'll come back to you on this one, Dick. I'm working on the basis that Fine Gael are getting about 55 to about 57 seats. On that basis, the only one that they could really form a government with is Fianna Fáil. Alternatively, and somebody could come very close, if Fianna Fáil decided to bury the hatchet with Sinn Féin, is that a likely possibility?
I don't think that would be a possibility. Well, I'm not going to say that it can't happen, but I tell you this, and I have to partly agree with Tom, because Tom is a very astute person when it comes to elections. But what I'd have to tell you this, and I'm talking now with me hand on my heart, that if Fine Gael wanted to join partners with Fianna Fáil, they'd have to scrap their plan for the next 5 years, because Fianna Fáil wouldn't go into partnership or into government with them, and that I'd say to you, Tom, because that will not happen. There's too much problems out there. The homeless thing has gone out of control. The people that's trying to live in overrated mortgages, they're gone. That's gone to hell. And this present Fine Gael Labour Party has saw them getting evicted. And I hasten to tell you this, but it's too serious of a thing. To get into bed with Fine Gael would be a very, very serious thing. But I don't think that the people are going to be foolish enough again to give their vote to Fine Gael. And I know this also, Michael, that a lot of Fianna Fáil people 5 years ago, gave their vote to Fine Gael. thinking that that could help the thing, but it has worsened the thing. Look at what's happening today on the radio. You hear about the Lewis going on strike, and every other body is going on strike. I was listening to the farmers last night. They're giving out. Everybody is giving out, and anybody that has any realm of intelligence ought to know and do know that Fine Gael won't be in government the next time. And I'd agree with Tom again that the next government could be made up of an awful lot of
alphabet soup.
Exactly.
I think it's possible that after the voting is finished, that we could wind up having another election. I do honestly feel that. I think it will be.
I've said 2 years.
I think so. There's no doubt about it.
It's unstable combinations. Can I ask you then, Tom? Let's get down to the nitty gritties. What do you think are the really big issues that are going to sway people's choices? I mean, we've talked about posters before they came in, but I don't believe people vote on the basis of a poster. I think they vote either on the basis of a party or an issue, or possibly even a personality, but not a. So, what do you think of particularly in the areas that we are, because we're all in the same constituency?
Well, I do agree. I think unemployment is definitely a factor in this election.
Do you not believe that the 8.5%?
No, I don't, and I'll come on to that now. I don't believe that one bit whatsoever.
A bit robbery, as we say.
Because I'll give an example now of why I don't believe
Please,
that. But anyway, and I believe that social housing is important for people that are waiting on the housing list for years and years and years. That has to stop. Of course, everybody's saying we'll build X amount. Fianna Fáil said it, that they would build X amount of houses. They built little, you know, and this government have built even more, less than that. I keep hearing about unemployment being I was listening this morning, I think it was John Borton was saying, look, we've created X amount of jobs. Now, I'd say to the politicians, and I'd say to anybody, go into Dublin city centre and walk up Gardner Street, Henry Street, and the back of the Irish Life where they had a mall at the back there coming out onto Henry Street. Now, I had a walk around there last week, and there are businesses boarded up. At the back of the ILAC Centre, which was a mall, there's only a coffee shop remains open there. And the question I ask, where are the jobs?
Well, can I then put it
so I'd say, sorry for cutting off, I'd say to the politicians, have you walked around Dublin? Have you really looked around and seen the state of Dublin City? And you can see, and this is, I think, a barometer. When you look at Dublin City now and see how far it has gone down, you'll say, there's nothing being done here.
But can I put something to you, Dick, and this I think perhaps might be the core of the election. I don't tend to go into Dublin City much. I live in Clontarf. If you go out to Sutton, if you go out to Haughey, if you go out to Dalkey, if you go out to Killiney, there's probably never been a recession out there. I mean, the restaurants are all full. The cars are quite new. They're top of the range. And I just wonder, I agree with you. If you go to the city centre, if you go to the suburbs that Dick and I know and you know as well, you will certainly see people having hard times. But if you go to the other areas, I was out in Dalkey last week. God, they're worrying about their share prices or their gold prices. They're not worried about a roof over their heads.
I tell you now how I feel about it. They don't have anything to worry about at all, because the Labour Party and Fine Gael has promised and has delivered onto those wealthy people. They've nothing in the world to worry about. But come up to where I'm living, up in Bonnybrook and Coolock, and you'll see a different sight. You'll see people walking around and walking. You see them picking up small bits of vegetables in shops and putting them back down because they're too dear. The people cannot feed their children. The people can't get jobs. The people are not getting looked after or haven't been looked after by this particular government. And the sooner that they get their act together and give up codding the people, and I have to repeat myself here, don't think for 1 minute that Labour are picking up any support. Labour are not picking up any support. And I'd be the first one to tell you if they were, but they hadn't. I'm out canvassing at this present moment. Well, I'm not at this present moment, but after this, I'm with Sean Haughey. And I'm telling you, all they're short of doing is putting them into their arms and saying thanks very much for coming back, and it's great to have Fianna Fáil back in the race, and we'll never again let them down. This is what we're getting on the doorstep, and this is what I believe I don't believe these papers because they have their own reason for upping the Labour Party.
I don't
Would you
know
agree
where
with the class nature of that?
Dick is canvassing, but certainly that's not the feeling I get around the constituency about Fianna Fáil.
Well, would you agree with the class nature of what Dick is saying, that that people who were okay off 5 or 6 years ago are probably, at the very least, as well off, if not better off, and the people who were what we call the squeeze middle are getting squeezed even more? Would you accept that?
I would accept it, of course. Yeah, that's always been the way, hasn't it? I mean, the people in the middle are squeezed, and this is why they're concerned now, because you'll hear all of the party saying, no, we have to look after the middle class, we have to look after the pensioners. So they're putting this as top of the list, but they've failed to look after these people clearly, over the last 5 years.
Now, let's have a look at the area. We're all in Dublin North East. I mean, I started calling it the group of death about 1.5 years ago because we knew what it was going to be like. Do you think it's going to be, to a certain degree, tradition will hold there, Dick? Because that's long been a Fianna Fáil stronghold. There was a bit of an aberration the last time round. Labour effectively got 3 seats in what's there now. Fine Gael got 2. So on and so forth. How do you see Dublin North East or North Bay panning out? Do you see a major difference to what we're going in with?
Yeah, I don't for a minute like to contradict Tom, because I'm very, very cute about Tom. Tom's a very good person.
He's an experienced commentator.
But I have to say this, and I mean this, and I don't mean nothing less than this, that Fianna Fáil will take 2 of the seats in Dublin Bay North.
You're a big fan of Deirdre Heaney.
Pardon?
You're a fan of Deirdre Heaney out there as well.
I'm saying Fianna Fáil will take 2 seats in Dublin Bay North. Get that clear. That
is a bold...
and the greatest... I say here's something I'm going to say that you wouldn't expect me to say, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Dublin, the city of Dublin, the entire part of Dublin, every part of it, lost a good Dáil party representative when Tommy Brohan had to pack in the stuff that this crowd are putting before the electorate, before the Dáil, and against the electorate.
And Tommy
Brown, pardon?
The bookies say he's going to get back.
Oh, you better believe it.
Yeah.
It'll be him, between him and Sean Haughey, who's going to head the poll.
That's an interesting one.
You better believe that now. You better believe that now.
Well, the Paddy Power is saying Finian McGrath, he's more popular than Justin Bieber.
Than the Taoiseach himself.
I know, I understand that. I understand that. Well, you're asking me to give you an opinion of the local area of Dublin Bay North, and I'm giving it to you. Tom doesn't seem to agree with me. I don't want him to agree with me. But I tell you what I'll do with Tom now, and I'll pay for his lunch after this. Let him come and canvass with me, and then see whether I'm telling the truth or not. Or indeed, Michael, come yourself and don't open your mouth, and I'll prove to you and to Tom that Fianna Fáil is leading the way in Dublin Bay North.
Okay. Tom, how yourself?
I see it going. One Fine Gael.
Richard Bruton or Nisha?
No, Richard Bruton.
You think so?
I think so. I think ministers in their area are capable of doing things.
I'm told he got a very rough reception up in Edenmore 2 days ago.
For their constituency. If you're a minister, you can you can spend a bit of money, as we know, in the constituency. And I see that, and I see one Fianna Fáil. I see one Sinn Féin, and I see the balance then the independents. It'll be 2 independents.
Which Finian McGrath
and Tommy Brown.
I must get controversial, Dick. Eva Power, do you think she'll take many Fianna Fáil votes?
No, she won't. No. I don't wish her bad or anything, don't get me wrong, but Eva Power will not interfere with the traditional Fianna Fáil vote, and I mean that.
Is there still a bad taste in the mouth from last year?
Well, I'm not going to go into that area, but she will not take 1 vote from Fianna Fáil. I'll tell you that. After that, I'm not. I'll hold my tongue.
All right.
I think when you jump ship, you have a difficulty, a big difficulty, and particularly within Fianna Fáil. If you jump ship,
Okay, Dick has said, and I agree with him, you're an astute commentator. One of the things I've been observing, Tom, and it surprises me a bit, is what I'm calling the failure of the radical left. They're just not showing it all in the. They're not troubling the score. Also, the failure of the Greens, and you would think this area is set up for the Greens, you know, with the Bay and all of that. Yeah. They're not. Really,
I find that extraordinary because one person that I had a great regard for was Eamon Ryan.
Yeah.
And the Green Party and what they had hoped to do with the environment and, as you say, the Bay and whatnot. And they just haven't shown at all. Now, I was listening to Eamon Ryan, and I agree with the policy of the Greens looking after the environment, particularly here in this area with the Bay. And they were the ones who were progressing that. But will they do well? I don't think so. I think people have gone off the Greens, unfortunately, because I think there's a lot of work to be done with the environment. And this is something that in government the parties have forgotten about. Yeah. And at least if you had the Eamon Ryans or what in the cabinet or whatever, at least...
There's one thing I want to say, Michael. I saw you at a recent debate in Clontarf Castle.
That was right. With
and you had a variety of candidates, and you had a lot of people coming and speaking. And I was asked by Vincent Brown to give an opinion. And one of the leading lights in the Labour Party said, don't mind this fella, he's a Fianna Fáil hack.
That's unfair. That's
if you think that that's professionalism, I don't.
I certainly do not. No. That's a personal insult. So
yes,
yeah,
exactly, to himself.
Yep.
Personal insult to himself.
Yeah. Well, so unfortunately, guys, you and I know we could speak for the rest of the afternoon here with such articulate commentators.